What's going on, everybody? My name is Terminus. We are back for ReZero Season 3, Episode 5, and shit's going down. Holy shit. We have gluttony, we have greed, we have lust, we have wrath. All of them are here. Technically, pride is here as well, but all the way down below in the Watergate City, trapped in Typhon, supposedly. So according to what I've gotten out of the information, it was indeed mentioned that Typhon was kind of the one that got drowned, and Al kind of referencing that was in some of the subtitles that I've seen across other people reacting to it and stuff like that. There seems to have been a little bit of subtitles sometimes being a little bit vague in the sense of oh, you mean Typhon drowned as well? Just implying that this is not Typhon, but it supposedly is. So this is very interesting. Also very interesting thing to actually think about in general is that we do have these witches, and supposedly according to the myth, if we believe what we've been told in the beginning of Season 1, and also even Season 2 when kind of Echidna was kind of talking about the witches, we do have that, oh yeah, the Witch of Envy kind of sucked the half the world dry and kind of killed all of the other witches, right? And we're wait, but if Typhon was trapped and drowned, and if other people died in other ways, I think one of the mentions was Sekhmet was kind of died falling down the waterfall. Minerva was kind of going mad or something. All of these things, all of the witches kind of died in various different ways. So the question is, how is that supposed to be Envy's doing then, right? How is that supposed to be Satella's doing? Because we don't know that exactly. I mean, one thing I can imagine is maybe Satella was actually the good guy at some point in time, right? With whoever was around back then, that they actually managed to work together with the kingdom and managed to banish all of these witches. But in the process of this, something happened. I can, for example, imagine something with Betelgeuse, that Betelgeuse, he imbibed the witch factor into himself and kind of went mad because he wasn't really compatible with it. So I can imagine maybe something like that happened to Satella along the way, or there's something else, right? That she was kind of behind the scenes manipulating stuff, or alternatively, also maybe she wasn't really involved with that, and this is just the myth, the tale, the legend, and Pandora has something to do with that. We don't know that either, right? Because they're all, Pandora especially is completely out of the picture. Hector too, with his melancholy stuff, because they're too, the two obsolete sins. We don't know how old they are as well, right? Because there's, in historical records, we do know that the sins in general, the older sins, melancholy and vanity, vainglory, that those were abandoned at some point in time and merged with some of the other sins because there was just too much overlap between the two of them. The church did that as kind of a categorization. And the interesting thing about that is I do wonder if our story, our lore, our deep lore of ReZero kind of mirrors that in a way, that we do have some kind of them becoming irrelevant and being replaced by all of the other new sins, or the other sins taking over. And we do have this plot going on where there's some faction fighting going on between those, and this is why in the end it ended up being like this, that Satella was blamed for all of this catastrophe, which she probably had some part in, but maybe not the way the history books put it down. Anytime I see anything about ReZero lore, it's endlessly fascinating, because we know that we are not gonna get these answers immediately in the same arc, or at the very least we know that we're only gonna get breadcrumbs, and we have a little bit more to put into the pieces to put into the puzzle, but the puzzle is still very incomplete, and we kind of have to go on our own assumptions and kind of build our theories. And that is one of the coolest things about ReZero, because even if somebody's like me, a light novel reader who has seen all the way to Arc 6 of the light novel, there's a lot of mysteries around the world, right? Where there's not specifics yet, where we do know this piece and that piece and that piece, but there's still a way for these pieces to kind of be twisted and turned on their head, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, because there was this one component that none of us yet knew, or this one component that kind of got dropped along the way. It wasn't quite as correct as we assumed it'd be, but it takes a very good and masterful author, in my opinion, to actually craft these things together, strew in a couple of pieces of maybe misinformation or kind of skewed perspective information, and still make it believable and coherent when it actually gets revealed. And that, I do trust Tappei to actually do that, in a way. Like, there are certain elements about ReZero that I don't like as much. For example, the power scaling of like the different forces in the world, including stuff like Reinhardt being ridiculously overpowered and not fitting in that well, and there's some being like sometimes being plot conveniences that kind of take Reinhardt out of the situation, and we have to deal without him because of that. But that also takes creativity to actually take him out of that. Either way, shit's about to go down, right? We met Gluttony as Subaru and Julius and Krush. Capella is right in the building, so there's this problem. Willem met this other swordsman or swordswoman who is very, very good with the swords and supposedly has this like death god divine protection. We do have Ricardo and Garfield actually fighting this 6'8" arm guy who we don't know who he is, like the living, breathing Pokemon, as I said the last time. Lots of moving pieces. We still don't know what's with Otto and like Le Batin-Taikos or Batin-Kaitos, because we do have like this another Gluttony out there who is actually wreaking havoc, and we don't know what's with Emilia after that drop in last episode. That could get really critical very quickly, and Subaru's occupied, so what's happening? We don't know, right? There's eight episodes for this first part of the arc, and after that we have an 8-week pause, right? Probably around like, I don't know, probably around Christmas, right? There's gonna be then the 8-week pause that they need to actually cram the animation out and to properly produce everything. I'm thankful that they actually take their time. And then we have another 8 episodes, so it's 16 episodes for this arc. And then obviously the second part of season 3, supposedly when we about to go by the posters, like by the wallpapers and the promotional art and everything, there's gonna be like a second part of season 3, which is gonna be arc 6, which I can tell you right now, I don't think it's a spoiler, is significantly larger in content than arc 5, right? The arc we're in right now. So this is something to really look forward to. But for now, we have a lot of action to go through. Garfield's personal struggles. Holy shit, that boy. Episode 3 broke him, holy fuck. But we built him up a little bit, and I do hope he's back up and ready to make some moves. Same with Subaru, who's still kind of damaged, who has his leg hurt and all of that. So we're in dire straits, even with all the people who are around, with Julius and all Willem and whatnot. We have our hands full with a lot of strong opponents. But yeah, let's just get into it. A couple of things for this episode, much like with episode 4, I'm actually testing out the stopping every once in a while and talking about things. As you've seen in episode 4, I haven't stopped too often. I'm not going to stop too often here, maybe a little bit more often than in 4, if it's appropriate, if it works out. We talk about a couple of concepts after the scenes are over, because unless there's like something very super critical where I'm like, okay, I need to kind of throw in that, and then I probably stop it for, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, and say my piece, my short little piece, and then we'll move on and we'll talk about it after the transition. So I want to let me know how you like that, how you did like it in episode 4, how you did like it this time around. We're going to go to the old way in episode 6, 7 going forward. And we'll switch it on and off every once in a while, and I see which ones of the videos are actually doing better and how you're all reacting to that, and maybe we make that more of a regular thing. Now, obviously, I can guarantee you my discussions are still gonna be like in-depth detail analysis discussions are gonna be after the show, after like watching the episode, and obviously, if there's the need for it, we're also gonna have like the extra discussion videos where we go through the art and the animation and some deeper themes and whatnot. If you do want to know, like if you do want to have a little bit more of like a light novel discussions or whatever, I told that, like I said that in the beginning in some of the like episode 1 and 2 reactions. If you want to see that, do let me know. If I see there's interest, we're actually gonna do it. We're actually gonna make it happen. But beyond that, let's just jump in the fucking episode and enjoy the show. Holy shit. 3, 2, 1, bam. Alright, then we start off with Regulus, of course. Why does it matter? Do tell me. She doesn't look... It kind of is. And you don't. Yeah. Is it more than looks that matters after all? They animate him so well. It is over, boys. Ah, okay. So he's innocent maxing, alright. Of course. But she has a concept for husband and wife. Wait, 184? I thought there were just 78. Ugh. That is max creep. That is max creep.
184番です。あなたと同じ彼の妻の。私、あの人の奥さんになったつもりなんてないんだけど。
Don't recall that.
彼はそのつもりです。彼がそのつもりであるということは、あなたの意思は関係ないということです。おかしいわ。
Creed.
なんだかあの人、本で読んだ悪い王様みたい。いいえと妙です。彼のあり方は確かに王様。
Little king, huh? Oh, I love this shot with like the reflection of the window. Really, really cool. All right, we're gonna skip over the intro because I can't like play it anyway. I'm just gonna jam out to it. Yeah, before we actually get the episode started, right, proper after the intro, let me say this also to the YouTube audience. I've kind of like made the experience lately that OPs have kind of needed time to grow on me oftentimes. Like, obviously there is like clear bangers that you immediately click with where you're like, holy shit, this is so amazing. Like, one thing I can think of is like Idol from like Oshinoko, or even just like an ED like Undead by YOASOBI. YOASOBI is making a lot of good tracks, but even other stuff, right? Like the Neon Genesis opening, iconic, but just also very, very good, very well designed, very much like part of its time and all of that. I did immediately click with the ReZero ED as well. But OP, sometimes they need some time to actually grow on me. And as I keep listening to them in the beginning of most of the episode, after a while, it's like, holy shit, actually, this is kind of really a banger. And I do wonder why that is the case, right? Do we like need time to emotionally connect with the themes that are happening on a visual and audio level in these openings? Or is it more like a getting used to it and then just jamming, like understanding the rhythm of a song more? Or like, it's very difficult to nail down, really, because it's not like my understanding of the lyrics did change. Maybe my enjoyment of the show is actually kind of connected and correlated to how much I do enjoy an opening. Although I can think of a couple of examples where that wasn't the case, right? Where I've seen a show and I was like, yeah, like I really, really dig this show and it's a lot of fun, but the opening I can't really do much with it. I would like to skip it each time I actually see it. Now, obviously not the case with this one. As I said, like I liked it in the beginning already. I especially like the visuals, but I also like the song itself and the topic, the themes that are going on there. If you haven't seen my reaction to the opening and me kind of breaking it apart line by line, do watch this video. It's readily available for you. Most of you probably have found me through that opening reaction. Opening reactions are very good for that. But yeah, I do wonder where that comes from, why we kind of feel that way. And let's get into the episode. Weird frame. Holy shit. Bro's like an animal. I do realize that he's not, like, he looks like a martial arts master, right? Ooh. He's called him Lonely Matters. Holy fuck. Okay. We're using code names. But yeah, I was gonna say he fights with his fists. Ordained by fate. Ooh. Like our fates are intertwined. Yuli is very close to his real name though. Crucio very girly and it's kind of thrown me off. That is the literal definition of Gap Moe. Also, hey, wait, didn't the dragon have like different eyes? Her sword is something else, gonna say. I love this shot. I did love this shot. Kind of went down a little bit easy. Krish still being a real badass. I do love it. It's insane to see this animated, not gonna lie. Holy shit, that shot went insane. Alright, Capella. Holy, that was cool. That was a cool reveal. Ooh, the distortion on her face? Oh, that shot. Old Super, what the fuck are you doing? Holy shit! Bro's got skills! Like, I didn't think he'd be capable of that. Oh god. It looked like a pig there. I got the nose. Yes, that must be it. A little bit of. Ooh. Oh, that is visceral. Like, I love it, but... these shots are so fucking insane. Yeah, we know. We know. Holy shit, this is creepy as... What the fuck, guy? That is... That's the objective. Yeah, but does he hate her or does he hate them? Ah, you know. He's got like some really bad vibes. Well, you're not wrong, but... Oh no, don't... Holy shit. That's very true. Imagine. Ooh. Sorry for stopping it, but I was kind of struggling to find a good moment. It's insane the ideas that are going on here, right? That we're starting to ask, what really is love on a fundamental basic level, right? How can you break it down, right? Because it's a feeling that is based on various aspects, right? Finding somebody to be suitable as a partner, and that can range from everything like the personality, right, and the circumstances you met in, right, the moments they were there for you, right, all the way down to looks, right, basically eroticism, sexual appeal, all of these things. And I don't think, like, obviously Subaru hesitated when she asked him this serious question of, also, holy shit, I've just noticed she literally is having, she's literally having his leg in her hands. Holy fuck. No, but yeah, obviously Subaru hesitated when he got asked, well, can you say that not for a second you haven't thought about Krush in this way, right? Haven't maybe felt a little bit of sexual attraction, a little bit of like that, think she's cute, right? Wanting to stroke the hair, right? Something like, I think that's something that even goes beyond like sexual attraction, because like beautiful, pretty hair, no matter who it belongs to, it's something very nice, right? just the same as smooth skin or something relatively sensual, of course, right? And there's a sexual element to it, but also something like the appreciation of aesthetics and beauty, and just like watching YouTube videos of things that are being done, like work being done where stuff is done very smoothly, right? Like that incredibly like satisfying to the senses to a degree. But yeah, can you say that you weren't attracted to her for 1 second, right? Even if you weren't serious about it, even if like your higher mental processes afterwards kick in and you're like, no, I got somebody I'm seriously interested in, and that's why I would never act on that. Or she's together with somebody else, right? That's why I would never act on it. Depending on what's happening. In Cruz's case, for example, she's got feelers, obviously, but also in Cruz's case, we do have that moment in season 1 where Cruz is like, right, I would love to have you for my camp, and they're having this moment of like actual mutual understanding and warm feelings between the two of them after they defeated the whale. And then Subaru's like, if I had the number 1 and the number 2 already, I could feel my heartstrings being pulled. And I think like what that means is I felt my heartstrings being pulled just now, but I remembered, or I like had in my mind, there's somebody I value higher than that, right? There's somebody who's more dear to me, but you're kind of a really nice person, a great person that I respect and admire and that I find relatively attractive, right? So, and Cruz actually being relatively like forgetting her memory to a degree, right? Acting despite having that skill within herself, right? And the conviction that we see coming out every once in a while in these very specific moments. We do see Cruz acting very girlish in the last couple of episodes and very like endearing to somebody who especially like it doesn't go for everybody, right? Not for everybody who's a man, who is male, but there's this aspect about somebody who is very skilled and very independent, very strong, but at the same time to the outside reflects a certain kind of vulnerability to you, right? Because they trust you, or maybe they're infatuated with you to a degree. You can't deny that there's a certain amount of like tension between Subaru and Cruz, especially is supposedly coming from Cruz's side. And I do think that's in conjunction with obviously her losing her memory and her not having these connections that Subaru on his side has, where he's like Emilia, Rem, whatever, right? It's like this is something that is like keeping him from engaging the thought of, hey, this could be a potential partner. And obviously, right, love, we're not talking about love here, we're talking about lust, but we are talking to the Archbishop of Lust here, so it makes sense, right? And she's questioning all these things and kind of turning it on its head. I find that very interesting, her beast stuff, where she's like, I'm turning people into beasts. Could be a metaphor for I'm turning people into the most depraved, disgusting version of themselves. And then I look if people are still willing to actually accept them for who or what they are. And I do that to kind of prove my theory that this is not the case and that true love doesn't really exist. But I mean, that's just one way to interpret that. One very interesting way. And I think there's certainly more to lust than just that, but really, really cool. I also find it very interesting that she is able to transform into beasts herself. I don't know what that exactly says about her approach to the sin, right? Her like certain spin on the sin of lust. Holy shit. I interrupted like a traumatizing moment. No, what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? Don't. Oh, is this how she transforms people? Oh shit, Subaru. Subaru is getting fucked so hard, I swear. Pause. And back to villain. Hell yeah. I see some animation coming in, huh? Holy shit. This is insane. And we cut away, of course we do.
Anastasia-sama, まずいことが判明しました。
何があった？
住人会と連絡が取れないようなのです。まず間違いなく魔女教の仕業かと。
桐高さん、分かっとるやろうけど。
私も標的の一人でしょう。アナスタシア様、避難の準備を。
桐高さんはどないするん？
Is she a target too?
命を粗末にするのはあかんよ。何があっても生きな。
驚きました。
I don't think so.
アナスタシア様はもっと割り切った考え方をされる方かと。
うちが血も涙もない金の亡者やなくて驚いた？
Honestly, yes. No, I'm just kidding.
うちは気になっとるんよ。
Ooh, holy shit. Yes, of course it's Raph, probably. Yep. That voice. Mostly bad. How long is it gonna take until they are affected? Holy shit, is it the twins? Or the triplets? Holy shit. Squad pulling up. Forbidden technique? What? The chances of everybody making it through this. I gotta evacuate. Get everybody out. But where? To where? That is the smile of somebody who's about to die. Yeah, it's very dashing, but it really isn't, right? If you everything's been put onto you like that, and we're back with them. Oh, I love that shot. Half light, much like Reinhardt last time. I love Fel too, right? She's just like, she doesn't give a fuck. She's like, Soda, but ooh, yeah, I know who this is. Holy fuck, let's fucking go. Checkmate, old man. Ah, come on. If you think he... Ouch. Do it, holy shit. Felt like... Got you, you bastard.
状況はよくわからなかったんですが、これでよかったんですか？
君はスバルの。
Also being the goat again.
さっきのゾッダムシは君の仕業か。ありがとう。助かったよ。
助かってねえよ。剣を突きつけられてるより100倍は死ぬかと思ったっつーの。慰謝料よこせよ。
多分僕は命の恩人なんじゃないですかね。
なぜここに？君はスバルと一緒にいると思っていたが。
たまたまなんですよ。
How did he escape gluttony? What the fuck?
隠せる場所をと思って。
暴食の滞在司教とよく無事で。
白龍の鱗の皆さんのおかげです。
To the what? Oh, that's the mercenary company. Like the ones belonging to Kiritaka.
しぶとく立ち回っていると思いますが。
おいポンコツ、これで心配はなくなっただろ。
お
前はとっとと助けに行け。
いえ、僕はおそばに。
さっきの低たらくで私を助けるってのか？私はこいつを連れて近くの避難所へ向かう。いいからお前は全部まとめてまるっと解決。
Yeah, right now, just get the fuck out there. They need you.
御意に。どうか無茶はされませんよ。
お前は無茶してこい。目に物見せてやれ。
Yeah, Reinhardt needs Feld, not gonna lie.
さてと、どうしたもんかな。背負うのはさすがにしんどいか。なんでおいらがこんな使いっ走りみたいなこと。しょうがねえだろ。避難所の食い物がそこをつきそうなんだから。
Wait, who's that? Ooh. Alright.
初めてじゃねえか。お前らがちょうどいい時に来るなんて。
Come on, Grunts.
なんや、あいつらいつの間に。
Oh no, 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 no. Garf! Not the flood. No, Garf. Holy shit. The waterways. This is crazy. A cat's not really good in water, are they? Ooh. Is this where he fights him? Yes, it's not all as it seems. Oh no, Subaru. I mean, I know he's not gonna drown, probably. Unless returned by death, but it doesn't look like it. A dark torrent. Mythenroid, people. Mythenroid. What? Wait. After credits? Okay. Holy fuck, that is devastating. Look at that. Shut up.
傷つきました。なので魔女の遺骨に加えて
You poor, poor baby.
要求することに仕上がります。
We're gonna up the ante. I'm sorry, what? The tome of what? You mean Beatrice? She just keeps upping the ante, I guess. Alright, ReZero Season 3, Episode 5. Yeah, as you've seen, I haven't stopped that much, so obviously it will be different from time to time. Sometimes we'll stop a little bit more, sometimes we'll stop a little bit less, depending on when an opportune time comes, when there's something to actually talk about during the episode, when it just comes to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I really would like to actually talk about this aspect of stuff. But yeah, everything else we talk about right here, or we elaborate on what we've already talked about as well. Do stick around if you want to. I would really appreciate if you did, because for me, that is really important, kind of, to actually have you listen to this. I mean, obviously there's the reaction, and I do appreciate you also watching the reaction, but it would be really cool if you listen to what I have to say right here. We're going through the episode, we're actually talking about a couple of concepts here. I find it very interesting that he's like referencing to her purity of mind. Also, these shots are going crazy. Look at that, like how the room bends behind him when he's like moving in and shit. This is insane. We're gonna speed it up as we always do. That is max creep. Him coming in, being like touching the hair and whatnot. That's comfort level like 200, and it's not justified. Like, I would have thought her reaction would be more to that, but I guess like with all of the shit that's been coming ways, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're married. It's like, when did this happen? But yeah, and she's like 184. I don't remember why she's 184 and not wife 78. I guess maybe he already went through 184 with Emilia, 185 once, and like the ones currently married to him are 78. And that is concerning if you think about it. That is concerning as fuck. In his mind, you are, and the fact that he's decided means that how you feel is irrelevant, right? Isn't that kind of hitting true to some of the things that, some of the situations you encounter with people who are in positions of power, right? People who think, like, have certain worldviews, have certain ways to actually conceptualize the world around them and see these things like that, right? Especially if you talk, like, I don't know, with business people, and you realize how they're talking about normal ass workers, how they're talking about human resources, right? How they're talking about making money, saving money, and how the aspect of human rights is often neglected, how the aspect of how people feel about certain things, if you talk to them a certain way, if you deal with them a certain way, is often left out of business or academia, just as the side of like, I can't bother with this. The most important thing is actually how much money we make, or that the structure and order of the system is kind of being upheld, basically. Even if we see clearly that the system is malfunctioning at places, even if we see that stuff is not working the way it's supposed to work, for me, in my little world, everything is working out all right. And as long as that's the case, right, I want to keep everything in my little world the way it actually is supposed to be, and everybody else can go to fucking hell. Narcissism, of course, right? Everything is like focused on me, and as long as my rights are being upheld, we talked about this last time, there's this degree of like just immense greediness and immense like defensiveness about everything that is regarding yourself, right? If anybody is saying anything that could be even directed in your general vicinity, if it's negative, you're feeling offended. If anything that is going in the direction of you that is being positive, it's naturally your right. And this is how Regulus sees the world, right? This is his perspective. This is his like distorted view of the world. If I have decided something is a certain way, then it is that way. The problem is actually, in this specific case, not only his powers, obviously, those as well, those give you literal power, but also his authority, not in the which way, but his authority in the way, the status he has in the world. Supposedly, he is relatively rich. We do see that in the accommodations he's choosing, although we have a little bit like a side of wall here, so I'm like, is this establishment really as good as we think it is? But we do see like the expensive wall tapestry, we do see the relatively good-looking bed, we do see the status of his clothes and everything. So he does seem to have a position of power in the world where people can't oppose him easily. And people who are around him, a close circle that is around him maybe profits from that. We don't know that, right? Could be profiting from that, or at the very least accepts it as a reality, as something they have to do because either they feel threatened if they don't, or like I said, they profit from it. And then the larger circle around them feels powerless to actually oppose that. And then they join into that behavior, right? They conform to the system. And when the system starts to work, right? When the gears are starting to actually move, then it's very hard to stop the entire machine. And yeah, I mean, obviously, oftentimes it's just a small little gear or a little nut or anything that you have to remove from a grand construct in order for it to destabilize to the point where eventually it starts breaking down. But it's not as easy as this, obviously, right? Because everything is set in place, everything is secured. You have security mechanisms around you, and all of this, like this environment, enables him in his behavior, obviously, right? And all of the people who are actually saying, yes, of course it is, you're right, because they don't want to deal with the negative repercussions of what happens if they disagree with him, they actually reinforce the behavior he has, they reinforce the worldview he has, that it is, of course, his right, that other people agree with him, it's his right, and that this is the way he sees things is the correct way things are, right? And obviously we do know from that little excerpt in Elio Forest in season 2, right, with the flashback of Emilia where he was up against Betelgeuse and Fortuna and even Pandora, that he likes to throw temper tantrums if things don't go the way he wants them to. And he is very powerful, like I said. His power, obviously, is the main driving force of actually people accepting who he is and what he does. He is indeed a king in his own right, certainly worthy of the title Little King. Interesting, that Little King comment. I know what it refers to, right? I said that before. Look up star signs in conjunction to characters, in general characters in ReZero, right? Just look what different names in ReZero could mean in terms of star signs, and then you get kind of an idea, especially when concerning like the archbishops and whatnot. Yeah, she's saying Little King, referring to his star name, basically. I do love the shot, I said that, like the way the window reflects the birds flying, and we do have that contrast, right? The birds are flying, they're free in the air, right? They're flying out there into freedom, and Emilia and this other girl here are sitting inside the birdcage, basically. We do have the window frames that are kind of acting metaphorically like the bird cage itself, keeping them confined to this little world and having to act in the way that Regulus wants them to. And her first thought is Subaru, which very endearing, really. Past the intro, we are at the rooftop. One thing I was going to say, like, first of all, exactly like a beast, acting super, super feral here with the sharp teeth, and we also have the sharp claws. It's not his own claws, I think it's like just an attachment weapon that he has. So he's fighting martial arts style, he already's got the outfit, right? We do get that impression, right? Outfits are a big thing, right? Character designs, outfits, they tell you a lot about how a character is supposed to work. This is one of the good ways that stereotypes work, when we have in media basically certain things that signify parts, aspects of a character or of a place that we can immediately identify and connect to in our own perception, right? And even across cultural barriers, right? This is Japan, but both in Japan and over here, we do connect this like more Chinese dress with martial arts. We connect it with, like, I don't know, Bruce Lee movies or whatever. We connect it with like more of a martial set of skills rather than something like a knight's garb, for example, or like the weird wild adventure thing that Lei Batenkaitos had. Roy Alpha. I do love that, actually, that how we pull over and we're like blurry, and he's refocusing him. He's using the little girl's user nickname. Julius, could you think of anything else? Hello. But yeah. Honestly, Capella has kind of been calling me out, like, but we'll talk about that in a second. I was just having that thought. What's your purpose for coming here, right? We clearly have that, and it's like, he's taunting him. He's like, There's no meal more satisfying than an opponent ordained by fate. And I guess the implication here is we are connected by fate because there's somebody, Rem in this case, somebody who was a victim of me or my brother or whatever, right? The victim of gluttony in general. And by that we are connected by the red thread of fate, and that is even more delicious for some reason, right? I don't know how it works with the eating and whatnot, but yeah. Still, yeah, I love that, like the swaying back and forth, the way he's creepy like that. But he's refocusing himself with Rem. He's like, sorry, I can't do it right away. We need to focus. We need to actually get this cleared out, and then maybe we have a chance to cure you. If I go for greed if I go for gluttony right now and I just mess it up, then I'll have to restart again, or I lose even more people along the way, and that's not what you would want. And that's what nobody would want. He's like, look after Valkyrie. I love that, how we're just going into the frame. Also, Valkyrie, what a cool baller name for Grush. It fits perfectly. Alright, then we're going up again. Again, like I said, like, you hear that clearly. I mean, if you go back to the episode yourself, you have that, like, girlish voice of Grush, which has been in the last couple of episodes. And I think that is actually just to reinforce this moment that's about to come right here, where we do have that horrifying reveal, right? First of all, there's this huge dragon standing over like a poor hostage, but the dragon is not doing a lot, right? He's a little growling and whatnot, but he's not doing a lot. Holy shit, Grush is like just fucking insane with her sword. I said that during the episode though. Love the animation. It's held up so incredibly well, I gotta say. Right? The way we dodge the rubble, and Subaru is coming in and he's like, all right, I'm gonna save her. And then we have Grush coming into the frame as we watch Subaru going away and being like defocused, right? We do have a focus pull onto Grush, which incredibly well done. Whoever directed this one, I really love that. And she's pulling back. But yeah, every shot of Grush lately, oh, holy shit, the eye, right? Especially what it implies, right? We know Capella has been turning all of these people into flies, but if she is not the dragon has to be either a real dragon, which kind of chances are 50-50, right? Or, since the dragon has been attacking Capella later on, it's probably a civilian, so what the fuck? So imagine you're a fucking dragon now, right? You have a wife and kids or whatever, you're a dragon. What do you do? What do you fucking do? Not everybody is a dragon fucker, hello? I'm sorry, I had to. Right? Some people are just weird like that, right? You do know the meme with like the angel coming down, well, the phrase in the Bible which is like, do not be afraid, and like somebody is like, would, and then the angel like, be more afraid, please. Get the hell away from me. But yeah, Grush being really badass right before this happens. Putting her sword back in. This is all of her training coming back in. Right? This is old Grush. This is old Grush acting on her instincts. And this is why I said I think that what gluttony takes away, at least maybe one of the gluttonies, is our semantic memory. Also, very interesting. I mean, we know it's lie, but like what should have tipped Subaru off is that Roy didn't immediately recognize Grush. So there's this thing about like, oh yes, this isn't like, right, there might be a second one, but we don't know that, right? And we wouldn't assume that, especially not in the heat of battle. But yeah, this is old Grush, and she's got this. She's like, I'll do it. Holy shit, the way she's acting, she's like perfect, right? She's like very hesitant, and then and Subaru opens this one, and it's like all of these red eyes, and he's like, what the fuck is this shit? What the fuck did I just walk into? I love this one shot with like the eyes reflecting in the like the myriad lenses of the fly eye. It's like, like, I hate flies. I fucking hate flies more than rats, more than spiders, more than anything else. This is why I think spiders are pretty useful, because like, keep one or two of them, like the normal kind, right? Like the, I don't know, daddy long legs, whatever. Keep them right here. Let them do their, like, let them make their nets or whatever. You're gonna have a lot less flies, especially in summer and whatnot. And he turns around and she's like just laughing because she knocked Krush the fuck out, and I'm like, holy fuck. And we do see like it starts with like the distortions. I want to kind of take a look at, are you infatuated with interesting. Is she saying hers or okay, right? I did love that one where we just kind of pull it up, right? Right, like an actor on a stage, basically, right? Revealing a new costume. And her being super, like, I don't know how to describe it, disgusting and goofy at the same time. Yeah, these distortions of the face are insane, right? It's kind of perpetuating this idea of her being deranged as fuck. I also like the parts of the design which are like almost like pincers on both sides of the hair. Kind of signify her like ability to shift and whatnot. It's certainly probably something she consciously put into there, right? Just part of her look, basically. Are you infatuated with my beautiful legs now, or just this female meat, right? And we like she had called everybody before that, she called them meat scraps, right? So there's like this language that's kind of consistent. That isn't shit that goes so fucking insane. Right, like with the shadow all the way on the top of her face, and we do see the eyes glowing in the dark, and then as we go down, it's more lit up, and we do have the backlighting coming from the windows. Insane shot. She's like, holy shit, I'm sorry, Krush. Subaru obviously getting really pissed at that, where she's like, she's not someone you're worthy of holding under your foot. And this was something that surprised me, him just going for the whip and actually pulling the stone. I don't even remember that. Love the squiggly lines on his face to signify like the fast movement speed, and we do have the rock coming right for her. But Subaru is kind of reckless, not gonna lie. Actually, this is going right in the direction of Krush, so I'm like, what the fuck? She with her self-healing abilities again. We do have that interesting little camera switch, right? Where we do go from like a very normal shot into a like zoom in and tilted angle, Dutch angle-ish, right? Dutch angle is a tilted angle that makes you feel uneasy. And she looks like a pig, right? Look at that, right? When the nose is gone and everything, right? You only see the nose holes and whatnot. It's disgusting as fuck, holy shit. But this is what she's saying like a couple of seconds later. And she's turning it around again, right? He's disgusted and shocked by her appearance, and she's like, did my beauty stun you? And he like, Subaru's still trying to make sense of it. I mean, think about that. You're coming in here and you're like, holy shit, what is this, right? I saw a dragon earlier, and this is like the same regenerative ability. What is happening here? Obviously, he could have put it together. The irrationality that shows what a moron you are. Just going in there. I do love these transformation sequences. This kind of reminds me of, I don't even know what, like, I know there was a show that had something like a transforming human or something that had something like that, where like the, almost like angel humans or something, where like the wings are weirdly coming out. I think Heroes had something like that, like the show with like, whatchamacallit, like the cheerleader girl, whatever, Hayden, whatever. And there was like this one angel dude who had to clip off his wings because like supernatural like humans were kind of considered like evil or deplorable or whatever. But yeah, it's insane how graphic we're getting with all of this. But it's also very beautiful, right? The like the tail and the wings and like the almost bee butterfly kind of esque motif on the hips, basically. And we're going up smooshing and we're coming in. Oh, this is like, I think this was shown in a trailer. This is an amazing shot where we do rotate, right? She rotates and the camera rotates slightly, and she's basically coming right in with the eye. And we're having like an impact shot, basically. Shockwave included and everything. Boom. And that too, holy fuck, look at this shot. Like this, when she lands here, doesn't this look amazing? The way the ground bends and we look up at the church organ. Mad. Like she could beat Garfield, hell yeah. with her like transformation ability. And she's introducing herself again. We should know that. Oh yeah, that was insane too. Like that crazy sequence where she's just pulling up the masks and she's like, suddenly she's Krush. And then out of this is, oh, holy shit, Out Cruise, there's somebody else, right? Like it's an egg coming out of somebody's mouth, and then there's another piece of media that reminded me of that, right? That this reminds me of, I mean, like where like figures are like kind of melting out of somebody, right? Kind of coming out of somebody's office, and then like it builds another human, and out of that comes another human. I can't think of it right now. One other thing that I think is similar was like the ED of one of the Chainsaw Man episodes, where like one organ is going into the other, right? Insane piece of animation, not gonna lie. And he's turning people into flies. What's the point? He's trying to understand it, because obviously all of these witches, and we said that in season 2, they're, to a degree, they're beyond comprehension, but obviously also there is something human inside of all of them, because they represent the human sins. So there must be an aspect of humanity that is represented inside of Capella here, right? Inside of lust. An aspect of lust specifically, or a twist on lust that we can apply to that. And her is like, I guess like my running theory, as I said during the episode, is testing the love of people, I guess, right? Or trying to reconfirm her preconceived notion that love doesn't exist and that it has boundaries and barriers, right? That if somebody is disfigured enough, if somebody is becoming disgusting enough to a degree, either be that by personality or even just by looks, that they can't be loved anymore, right? This is interesting because it's something a lot of people have very strong opinions on, right? What makes a person lovable, right? What makes a person, right? What makes you able to love someone or like someone, and what's your impression of a person opposite of you, depending on their looks, depending on their personality. And you will ask a lot of people, and their answer will be people who look good are being advantaged, right? People who look good have it easier. People who look good are received more favorably, right? People who look good are associated more with positive emotions, right? Are associated more with positive personality traits and all of that. And to a degree that can be the case, right? There's been studies that have proven that to a degree first impressions are definitely influenced by the appearance of somebody, although that's not the only thing, obviously, that is kind of determining how you look at somebody, right? How well you like somebody who you basically don't know yet, you just met. There's other things as well, right? Not just like your looks, also general, like the way you dress up, the way you behave on like a general like social interaction kind of level. And obviously there's a lot of stereotypes, right? People, right? Certain looks being associated with being disorganized, being an idiot, or being incredibly smart, being arrogant, being rich or being poor. All of these things are being like these implicit association that are being made constantly when we look at somebody who we basically don't know. And yeah, this is useful, right? This is heuristics. This is basically our brain being like, okay, I don't know this person. What can I glean at like a moment's notice to see, is this person agreeable with me? Is this person friendly with me, or do they maybe mean harm to me, right? Are they malicious? Are they a danger to me? Are they like, can I communicate with them properly? Are they on the same like wavelength as me in terms of like their worldview and the way in which they communicate, basically, right? The mannerisms they use, the social circles they're in, right? There's so much that has to be going on when you meet a new human being, especially back in the day, but even today, right? You need to know this basic information. And even if a lot of these things that we are kind of immediately through stereotypes and our own like associations are kind of guessing from the person we have just met, even if most of this is inaccurate at best and completely wrong at worst, it still is more useful than knowing nothing about them. And this is why it still works, right? This is why it's still a function that works for a lot of human beings because you can immediately kind of get a feel for it. This is why sometimes you get a bad impression about a person, and after a while you realize, oh shit, I actually picked them wrong, right? I thought they were kind of an asshole, but actually this is not what it is at all. They're just a little bit weird in their social interactions, or I thought they were like the typical like arrogant rich guy who doesn't care about anybody else but themselves, right? But in reality, they're actually just, I don't know, they're very passionate about their fashion and about like, or maybe they need to wear like a formal dress code for their work, and that is why this is important for them, right? Or you meet somebody who's like, you're like, okay, this is probably like I don't know, a normal ass worker, or like working in retail or whatever, right? The way they are dressed up, but you meet them in a situation that is outside of their normal dress code, or maybe they're a person who is very minimalist, right? They don't need a lot, and they don't care a lot about fancy clothes, and they don't need to wear it for work. So in the end, you kind of just put them into the wrong category. In reality, they're actually, I don't know, they've got a degree in whatever, and they're pretty intelligent in what they're doing, and they know a lot about what they're doing, but you can't glean that from the initial impression. And still, we do use this tool, we do use these like very quick little guesses based on stereotypes, based on associations, to actually kind of make a picture of somebody who, like a mental image of somebody who we don't know yet, who we can't really get the information quickly. And then with time, one after another, right, more interactions with these people, we get to know them better. And we obviously, this is also how impressions in general can change. If you are never exposed to somebody who is from a different country, for example, or who is like from like a vastly different culture, if you're never exposed to them, you can have some preconceived notions that are maybe rather negative, and then you for whatever reason, you're put into a social circle that has a couple of people like that, and you live with them or interact with them on a regular basis for a while. And this is how you meeting a very nice and friendly member of that specific subgroup of people, right, or that culture, can actually influence you to be like, oh, actually, I think most of these people are actually pretty okay. And on the other hand, if you are experiencing a lot of the negative sides of that culture, right, if you're maybe growing up in an area that is very troubled and where people struggle in general, right, and where there's a lot of crime going on and whatever, and it's not necessarily the fault of the culture itself that these people are criminal and that these people are like, right, that there's a rough social interactions going on and a lot of conflict and whatnot. They are kind of just the product of their environment in to some degree, and you actually get exposed a lot to these people, right? In that context, you can have maybe a lot, like your impression of them can be a lot worse, and then you can go out of that experience and carry that into the world, this worldview that, yeah, there might be a couple of good ones, but most of them are kind of assholes, right? And this is like, it's very easy to kind of put that out there. And visual impressions are definitely, sorry about the tangent, visual impressions are very important when it comes to how we perceive people, how we interact with them, how we love them as well, right? Visuals are the first thing we see, right? The first thing we recognize in another person, and if we find them visually attractive, then maybe they are a potential partner, and then we talk to them, and then we find out, oh no, the personality, right? We clash too much. It doesn't fit all that well, right? So you kind of scratch that out of your head. You're like, nah, right? You're not even doing that on a conscious level. You're doing that on a subconscious level, especially when it comes to like sexual preferences or preferences to romantic partners. This is developed very early, right? Very early teenage years, when we start to kind of like, when this stuff kind of starts to manifest itself, and then it doesn't change that much, right? From like middle teenage years on, we are not going to fundamentally change who we are attracted to, right? That's not gonna happen. There's like some almost like we develop kind of a prototype. As our brain develops, we develop a prototype who our ideal partner is. That is, in terms of like oftentimes in terms of like some specific key personality characteristics, but also in terms of like physical appearance, right? And physical age of the body as well, right? That is something that develops around that time and stays that way after that. This is also a thing like this. Okay, now disclaimer, this part of the theory is my own personal like interpretation of that, right? Everything I said so far is what we know, right? From science, from like research, from studies. Everything I say now is like my interpretation of based on what we know. And I think this is one of the reasons why some people are very much attracted to people that are much older than them, right? If you're like exposed to people who are in media or whatnot, you see Hollywood movies, you see, right, TV series or whatever, and you do recognize actors that are like, I don't know, an actress that is 30 or 40 years old, and you find them attractive as a teenager. How does that make sense? It makes sense because we are developing certain prototypes depending on how we grow up, the people we interact with, the way we learn how like societal rules and certain like also sexual and romantic scripts, right? Scripts we call them, right? Basically blueprints for how a romantic relationship, how a sexual relationship is supposed to work, how it's supposed to function, that we implicitly pick up, right? We don't pick that up and are like, okay, let me write that down. It's just something that over the years is kind of putting itself into our heads. But it's not all environment, obviously. There's a big genetic disposition for this as well, right? Genetics kind of interacts with the environment, and this is how we develop our sexual and like our romantic preferences. But yeah, looks are a big part of that. Looks are a big part of that, and Capella seems to be of the idea that I want to prove to the world that people can't look past appearances, right? People can't look past visuals. And I do believe that if I turn people into ugly monsters, then they can't be loved anymore. And that is kind of maybe almost a kind of satisfaction for me, because I do prove what my worldview is in a way. I guess this is the twist on love. I don't know if that is. I mean, I guess like her twist on love is also in a way perversion, right? Turning something that is maybe innocent, right? Innocent civilians, turning something that is common, that is commonly accepted and loved, into something that is distorted and debased, right? That would also include every kind of kink, right? Every kind of perversion that you can think of, every kind of like, in this case, I guess, the beastification of people, like the reduction of people from their higher social function and abilities to communicate with one another and express their personality down to something where you can't communicate all that well with people because you're a beast, right? You can't speak the same language, so you do not have that sophisticated way to actually interact with people. Yeah, I mean, that's my take on Capella so far. I'm sure there's more to it and there's more interesting stuff about that. But yeah, I'm going to change the battery. We're going to be right back, and then we're going to talk about the rest of the episode. All right, welcome back. To conclude this, we do have that little interaction where Subaru is like, how could you do this? I don't understand. Turning people into flies. What's the point? And she's like, you find it disgusting? And she's like, it's blood curdling. You are. And she's like, that's right. It's so disgusting and repulsive. It makes you hate me. Very interesting that she's like, I want you to hate me, but a second later she's, well, I want you to love me? That's just it. Seeing that made you hate me on a visceral level. That's the right answer. No one could love creatures like those. Just go ahead and kill me. What? Why? I'm a philanthropist. I never do something so barbaric, right? Subaru saying go ahead and kill me. I guess he wants to reset. Not a good strat, Subaru. Honestly, not a good strat. You don't know if they can be turned back. Nice little twist. I want as many as possible for as long as possible, as deeply as possible. It was like doing that, right? It almost reminds me of like what Betelgeuse was doing at times. She's almost like, I think like we have Betelgeuse, then we have Sirius, and then we have Capella with the ranged, and they kind of just top one another all the time. As long as possible, as deeply as possible, to love me. And her being like with that like flushed face and whatnot. I do wonder what that means, right? On the one hand, she says, like, yeah, I did that so you hate me. And then she's like, I want as many people as possible to love me. That is really difficult. Maybe it's dependency, right? It's like nobody would ever love you in this state except for me, right? Come give me love. So, because I don't know. Get it? Because that is my wish. I do not understand. I do not understand you, okay? I'm sorry. I don't. Maybe not yet. Maybe not yet. That's it. You always end up drooling over that female meat because you want her so bad. Quit running your mouth. Can you swear that you haven't had lewd thoughts for a single second? And he's like, well, kind of, but he doesn't even get the time to answer. Don't you just want to stroke her hair? Is that you projecting, Capella? Is that you projecting? I do love that angle, by the way, right? The way the face is like right in the camera and very big and distorted. We have like that pan shot. It's amazing. And she, like, Grush sleeping or being knocked out looks absolutely beautiful as well. Aren't you just in love with those lips? Well, I can barely see the lips, so don't you dare take that carnal desire that you can't even speak of in the open and dress it up as love. And now we have the really creepy stuff, right? I think you'll say this shit again even after seeing this. The same obligatory requisite objection. I love her because I was drawn to her good heart, right? She's like questioning your pure motives, right? She's questioning all of the things you like to say to make yourself appear as pure and far away from carnal desire. Like, I think the problem is the way society sees sexual and carnal desire on a fundamental level, because technically, I mean, these days it's a little bit easier because we do, like, at least thanks to psychologies, thanks to biology, we start to understand that this is just a normal part of life, right? It is our own instincts, like our very base instincts of wanting to reproduce and finding somebody who fits the physical and the mental profile of actually producing good offspring with, right? On a very, very scientific level. But that is normal, right? It's normal to not just have that desire, right, and understand the function of it, which is reproduction, getting children, right, ushering in the next generation, but also that desire to be close to somebody, not just in an emotional level, but also in a physical level. It feels good, and regardless of the function that it has, which we just described, it is something very, very beautiful in a way. And I do think that way too much we actually just push it away and say this is something dirty, this is something like we can't talk about on a fundamental level. And it's very much a shame in my opinion, because I think it is something we should be talking more about, right? We should be talking more about sexual stuff, because it is something that is in many cultures and also in many like families and in society at large, it is something people don't like to talk about. Because this is something that is very intimate and something where we are not yet on a societal point. We're not sure how much of it is actually normal, and it is normal, right? Like, if you think you're the only one who has that weird little kink or that like weird little like preference or whatever, go out there, talk to people that actually can openly talk about it, because not everybody feels comfortable doing so. But if you talk to people who feel comfortable talking about it, then you'll realize that a lot of people do have the same desires that you do. It's only how we actually interact with that, right? Because oftentimes just putting that into the category of dirty and bad and like not okay, morally wrong, is actually doing it a disservice, because then we shove it into all of the categories where we actually also perpetuate certain worldviews, certain views on things that are not healthy for us, right? Like respecting one another, right? Like consent. Things like these are important. And for them to actually be properly talked about on a societal level, we need to talk about sex more. That's just how it is. Because she's the only one who saw me, because she stayed on my side when times were rough, because I can be my true self when I'm with her. Because when I'm with you, everything looks more colorful and the eyes shine, and she's perfectly mimicking this. And now imagine you are Subaru, right? You're in love with this girl, right? And suddenly somebody who you find absolutely repulsive and disgusting, who did horrible things to people just a moment ago, who like has horrible transforming abilities and body horror going on, is actually turning into the love of your life and telling you all of these things in a very creepy undertone. Right, mocking you, like challenging your views on the world and the way you actually see yourself, right? The way you see yourself in terms of the noble motives you have, like I love her because she accepts me for the way I am. Yes, you do, but there is a part in there, right? That is also sexual desire, that is also carnal desire. But only in accepting that you actually realize that it's an okay thing to feel, right? That is a human thing to feel. If you reject that and put it away from you and ignore it, then the problem is if somebody like this is coming towards you and they're challenging your views on things, right? They're challenging how you see yourself. You end up possibly having a real identity crisis, right? Being shaken in your self-assurance, right? Being shaken in your self-confidence about your views, about your ideals, about the way you conduct yourself. Because I can't go alone anymore, because though my life's been full of lies, this feeling is the only thing I have that's real, right? This dogmatic view, this pure interpretation of love, right? And then we have the face turn, obviously. I mean, Subaru has been waiting for it. We've been anticipating it because the tension was being built. It's all just a bunch of lies, lip service. You think your love will keep you two together. See if you can still love her when she turns into a fly. Right? Can you still love a person if they're disfigured beyond belief? And the answer is probably yes. But obviously it would be shocking not only to, like, you could be asking the same question about yourself, right? Can you still love yourself if suddenly you change on such a fundamental level that you don't even really recognize yourself, right? You change into something that you yourself find disgusting, right? You can ask that on a personality level as well, I do feel. Because obviously if you turn like, right, 10, 20, 30 years, right, that develop in a certain direction, and I don't realize that, and at some point I look back on my life, I'm like, holy shit, I've done horrible things, right? A lot of people who come back from war, a lot of people in general, right, do feel like that at some point in time, and then they have to actually process that and deal with the actions they've been taken, right? Kind of try to integrate that into their new identity, right? Not forget it and forgive themselves maybe, but be aware that living on is the only way to kind of maybe make good on what you think you've done wrong in the past. But she's mocking that, right? She's kind of putting all of that in question. It's disgusting. She's almost pulling her hair like a Sirius or a Betelgeuse or whatever. You said that very clear yourself, right? Just a second ago, she's ripping herself apart, which is like an insane image if you think about it. Like, think about that, right? That being right in front of your eyes, right? Immediately, yeah, right? The person he loves being ripped apart at the face, right? And then rebuilding as somebody else. And then she's ripping out the, holy fuck, dude. She's ripping out the leg. Lost my composure. How embarrassing. Teehee. It's like that. It has that energy of the meme of like the girl being like. I don't know how it goes. It's like I don't have it in the image clearly in my head. Looks like you're about to die, and then we do something very, very creepy, right? She's infusing them with her own blood, and I'm like, holy shit, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Cause that like spreads like corruption. It kind of just like blood vessels on the face, basically. Right, and goes in and she's like suffering, and then she goes over to Subaru and she's doing the same thing. She's like, I've got dragon's blood. It's very interesting if we like, right, the Dragon Kingdom of Lagunica, a deal, a contract, a covenant with the dragon, and then we have somebody who's naming herself after the country, like the dragon country, and she says she has dragon's blood. So there's a lot of little stuff going in there where we're like, maybe she is actually part of the once supposedly lost or was part of that royal family. But we don't know, right? It's like festering, almost like I don't know, like mutating. And obviously she has that sadistic streak. But the dragon wakes up and he's like blasting everything to hell onto her, right? Not the way she wanted it to happen, so. The dragon is definitely something opposed to her that she possibly turned. Alright, so we have 2, 4, possibly, no, it's 8 arms, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, it's 8 arms. It's 8 arms, actually. He has 2 with the sword, which are in like the garb, and then he has 6 others. Insane, dude, insane. Love the sword glint with Willem, but we get interrupted by that huge blast. And obviously they're all shocked. They're like, shit, what happened up there? Are they dead? Julius, we don't know what happened to Julius either. We're back with like Kiritaka, and we're talking a little bit about the council. And I do like how we're getting more and more like... holy shit, Anastasia. But yeah, we're getting to know more and more, even if she's a little bit fakey, a little bit playful, a little bit like just brushing it off. We do see a little bit more about the real Anastasia, that she actually cares about people, that she wants to make that happen, even if she has her business kind of like profiting from shit, right? She probably got raised like that, right? That I can very well imagine that she's maybe Hoshin's daughter or granddaughter or whatever, and that she like got raised in the family and just learned that mercantile skill from the get-go. But she's not as cold and calculating if it comes to people she holds dear, people she puts a lot of value into, or if it's about innocent lives being lost. That doesn't go past her. She isn't that cold, right? She's just calculating enough to actually, if the situation calls for it, be profiting from something that she can profit from, which is actually very, very logical, right? Somebody being very opportune, understanding in which situation to actually take advantage of certain things that she can later profit from. But this is obviously a crisis situation. She understands the severity. Holy shit, look at that. Explosion keyframe, really cool. Last time I saw something like that was Frieren. And then everything comes in and he actually threw himself in front of her, which is insane. Sirius actually coming in here. This crazy bitch. Holy fuck. We're clapping and whatnot. Sirius Romanikontio of Wrath. It's nice to meet you. The eyes glowing. I love what they're doing with the archbishops, that they have their eyes glowing and that each archbishop kind of has different eye colors. I don't know if that's described, like if each archbishop's eye color is actually described in the light novel, but I know some of them are, like Sirius here, for example. And I think it's very, like, and they're described in great detail in the light novel, so I can imagine that probably the eye color of most of them is being described. But I love that, right? We do have gold for greed. Not in terms of like Echidna. We do know Echidna has a different eye color, but I think she has a different eye color. But we have gold for Regulus for greed. We do have like the purple, interestingly enough, for Sirius for Wrath. We do have like the very fitting like pink for Capella for Lust. We have green for Gluttony. Very interesting. Don't know what that means in terms of like color psychology. You need to ask Ed for that. Shout out to Psychculturist who is watching this as well, so you're probably gonna get the explanation when he pulls up the color wheel and whatnot. We can do that at some point in time, but I'm not that versed in like the color wheel of psychology. Not yet, probably, at least. Hitaro and Tibe being the fucking... And look at Anastasia, it's so cute how she's very concerned about them, right? She's acting so much unlike herself, but obviously makes perfect sense. And I do wonder what that means. I used the forbidden method. Don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna get it explained by Felis down the line. Apparently she used the same for Subaru's legs, and they're buying time and they're going in there. I think it's so amazing. Holy shit, what a frame, what a fucking frame, look at that. With the line art and everything, holy shit, that goes hard. But yeah, also proves how fucking powerful the possibly female swordsman is who attacked Mimi, because they were able to actually block a full-on attack by Sirius, Tive and Hetero. And Tive and Hetero, if I remember correctly from season 1, are actually weaker than Mimi. Mimi is the strongest one out of them. So it's very, very cool to see that they can actually block that and then get like the difference in power. Although, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of ReZero like power structuring, but I mean, it depends how it's being displayed in the anime in the end. And I did also read parts of the web novel, so it's possible that in the light novel version, minor parts were actually like fixed, and like, you know, the web novel is only the draft for the light novel, so the light novel is the canon material that the anime is being based on. But yeah, we're getting out of here. It's insane, I was gonna say, how much fortitude it takes on a mental level for all of these people to actually deal with crisis upon crisis upon crisis, right? Surprise upon surprise upon surprise, mortal danger upon mortal danger. Those are all traumatic experiences, possibly, right? Like the very definition in the Diagnosis and Statistics Manual for Mental Diseases, right? The DSM-5, which is currently being applied in every country around the world to classify mental disorders and whatnot. For PTSD, right? What post-traumatic stress disorder, where we do have trauma being the trigger specifically, right? That's one of the conditions. Trauma has to have happened in order to cause PTSD. And what defines trauma, which, like, the very definition of that, I'm sorry, I had to kind of I had to kind of wind that up to actually explain it. The very definition of trauma is an event that is a near-death experience, or like being in mortal danger, right? Or experiencing a high degree of, or experiencing a degree of physical or sexual violence, or no, physical is already like the mortal danger kind of thing. Sexual violence. Either experiencing that yourself, right, being almost killed basically, or being the victim of something violent or sexual in terms of like loss of control and everything, right, being like feeling the mortal danger of that, or seeing that happen to somebody while you witness it head on, or something like hearing, right, getting to know that it happened to somebody who is very close to you on an emotional level, right? Like family member, very, very close friend, right? Partner, stuff like that. Or being repeatedly exposed to that in conjunction with your job, as you would, for example, expect for first responders in like catastrophe situations, or policemen who have to investigate homicide and stuff like that, especially when it's like concerning children and whatnot. All of these jobs, as well as like all the other things I said, right, being exposed to it indirectly or directly, can be seen as trauma. Now think about how many traumata have been, like, those people have been exposed to in the matter of like a single day. That's insane. I mean, not to talk about like what Subaru has, right? Because obviously somebody like Subaru, who keeps dying over and over, right, keeps experiencing pain, near-death situation, actual death situations. A person like that is very, very likely to develop some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. So I do wonder if at some point in time that's actually going to come up, or if Tappei is going to stay a little bit away from that. Definitely, I do think like he's probably only going to dip his toes into that, because this isn't his area of expertise. But I already liked a lot of what's been happening to the people here, right? Even aside from Subaru, but Subaru himself as well, in terms of what they experience, the trauma that they experience, and what effect it has on their psyche, what effect it has. Like, look at Garfield with his trauma, that you could consider that war trauma in a way, right? Combat experience trauma. That is one of the main sources of trauma for male people, by the way, like that you are a soldier in war and actually come back and have experienced trauma. For women, it's often also sexual violence, which is, yeah, I mean, very sad, but that's how it is. Being kidnapped is up there, right? Traumatic accidents is also up there. Stuff like that, right? Or pain and suffering, disease, stuff like that. So there's definitely so much that's coming into our protagonist, and it's insane how much resilience it takes, right? How steadfast a character like that has to be to immediately snap out of it and actually be back in the situation, be ready to perform, right? Be ready to make plans, to strategize, to coordinate people, right? To help people, to sit down and be like, okay, what are we gonna do now, and do that within like a very, very close time frame, right? You're under time pressure as well with all of the demands that are coming in. Later on that we see the cities getting flooded, and suddenly it's like, I have even more demands, make them happen. And then we're like, how do we actually get the upper hand again? How do we regain control after all of the towers have been taken, after a couple of our parties? We don't know what happened to them, right? We don't know what happened to Subaru exactly. We know he's in the flood now. We don't know what happened to Garfield or whatever. At least Anastasia doesn't know that, right? Otto doesn't know about the rest of the parties, right? All of those, they're isolated, they're anxious. There's a lot of pressure on them, and they keep hearing these announcements that are citywide, right? And terrorizing the population, basically. This is one of Subaru's best calls, in my opinion, that like the tower, right? The building where all of the announcements are coming from, that this was something they had to go to. Now, obviously, they haven't managed to be successful in what they were doing, but it was the right idea, because this is what keeps demoralizing people, keeps dividing them, keeps isolating them, and keeps kind of keeping them in a perpetual state of panic and fear and anxiety and hopelessness on the long-term perspective. And you know what happens with hopelessness? We had that a couple of times. What happens if you become hopeless is that you are starting to relinquish yourself to your fate, right? That you start to be like, I have no control over the situation at all. And even in situations that are coming your way that you would have control over, you start to develop that belief that there's nothing you can control, right? That this is all stuff that you can't influence. And then you are like, the result of that is going to be inaction. It's going to be depression. It's going to be anxiety. It's going to be, despair, kind of. And this is what we need to prevent from happening to the city. And especially like incredible what the leaders, right? Anastasia, Krush, Subaru, all of them who are in this, what they're displaying in terms of their mental fortitude. These boys too, I'm sorry, but these boys too, I mean, they're hardened warriors, but yeah, this is the right approach, right? This like daredevil grin that he has on his eyes and on his face, where he's like, I might die in this, but at least I'm taking them down with me if I can, right? I'll hold them off as long as I can, right? We're gonna protect the person we look up to, the person who is more important than we, at least on a societal level, and we're gonna protect them. And it's insane that people would do that, right? But they understand the grander picture of things. They don't just think about themselves, like Heinkel right here, who is like, you protect me, I don't care what happens to the rest of them. And he's not thinking far enough to actually think about, if everybody else out there dies and are coming in here, then I'm not protected either, no matter if a Reinhardt is there or not. So yeah, I don't know. The soda bucks, and actually felt being like freaked out more by the soda bucks than actually being freaked out by a sword to her throat is hilarious, and it's amazing. I was talking about, like with Krush earlier, I didn't talk about that specific aspect, but it's that gap, right? It's the, like, I think like some people also talk about like gap moe or whatever. I don't know what exactly it means, but I think it goes in the direction of there's this gap between a character who's normally very, very strong and steadfast, who is normally very, very respectable, and them like acting very strong. And then the gap between that and them actually acting very, very cute and vulnerable and adorable in a way, right? Like not strong at all, more on the weak side of things. And there's a gap between that is kind of like very very attracting in a way. So that is what's kind of happening to Felt right here, and what happened to Krush earlier, where we kind of just displayed that through her memory loss. While she has these moments of like steadfastness and everything, she has these like very appealing girlish moments as well. Reinhardt going in, he wouldn't have killed Heinkel, but Felt is fucking ruthless. She's like, alright, bottle on the head, goodbye. She doesn't give a fuck, holy shit. She does not give a fuck. And Otto coming in clutch as always, I do love it. Otto is always there if you need him, honestly. He's such an underrated character. Like, especially he doesn't have that much power, right? He can communicate with animals, that's incredible, but he uses it in such an intelligent and creative way that he's always there to help. And he's always there for the situations and everything. And Felt being like, look, Reinhardt, focus, get your head straight. I'm fine, right? I'll take this guy with me. It's all good. You go out there and you take care of the people. And this is leader quality, in my opinion, right? This is somebody who is a good leader. Love that shot of her where she's like pointing at the camera and she's being very cocky. And this is the moment when they click, right? When he understands, yes, okay, let's do this. I'll listen to her this time because she knows what she's talking about sometimes. Those two guys just show up. They're like, oh, did we miss something? She's like, perfect, you're gonna carry him. Because I sure as hell ain't gonna do it. Holy shit. I love that too, right? How we like have the 3 fighters in the middle of the city and they're like, what the fuck is happening even? And Garfield's like, holy shit, boss, is Subaru dead? And then there's like, from behind we see the water approaching. We're like, oh no, what the fuck is going on? And Garf didn't recognize that immediately and then he turned around. It's also kind of like, Ricardo, couldn't you have grabbed Garf and actually went out, like jumped out? You did the same to Subaru, like holy shit, dude. Like 1 second would have been enough, you could have grabbed him. He's not that heavy, at least not in his human form. But yeah, the way the water is actually going in, it's insane. Garf catching himself, but we don't know what happened to everybody else. Hair down, all the like a wet cat basically, and Crucian Subaru being taken away. I do love that how the dragon kind of swoops over the surface. Capella is coming in, she wants her Subaru back. But he gets dropped into the flood and we don't know what's happening. A dark torrent, right? And that is on so many levels symbolic, right? We do have the dark torrent of the water just flowing, right? And we do have the dark torrent of Capella actually coming in and whirling everything, right? Breaking our entire plan apart and throwing it all about. And also just the nature of her, right? The dark torrent. Desire, dark torrent of desire, dark torrent of like repulsiveness in a way. She's coming in and turning everything into this repulsive thing. But yeah, we have an after credits, a short one, where Emilia is seeing the entire destruction of the city. I think so far they did an amazing job of showing like just the destruction of the city and everything and how it affects everybody as well, right? We've made a great deal of effort to actually display the city in a state of peacefulness, right? In a state of tranquility. Before we actually, this is why I think episode 1 with its like 3 times runtime was so important, because we displayed the city and our party at a very peaceful and tranquil state where we do see this is what we're protecting, this is what we're fighting for, and now we throw it all into chaos. We destabilize every element in the psychological foundations of every one of our characters, every one of our main characters, be that Emilia, right, in a situation where she's very isolated from the people who normally help her, where she's very like threatened by the people around her and the situation she is in. A situation that is also very true kind of to a situation of maybe many young girls, not all of them certainly, but in certain situations where you are in toxic or abusive relationships, where you are in situations where you are not the one who is in power. Although Emilia has her strength and she will find her inner strength, I'm pretty sure about that, right? She does have her magic abilities, she does have her steadfastness that she displayed all of the time until now in season 3, although all of the time when Subaru had her back, that is one of the very important components, and all of the other people too, right? Garfield, Otto, everybody, Betty being around her, and now she's isolated and she has to kind of prove herself in a way. And then we have Subaru, who just lost one pillar of his foundation, which is Emilia, possibly is in danger of losing other parts of his foundation, Garfield, Krush, and all of the other ones who were with him. And the same goes vice versa for Garfield, for example, who's looking up to his boss, to Subaru, right? And Subaru just fell down into the flood and was badly hurt, and he's like in danger of dying. And so there's this element of, holy shit, everything is breaking apart. All the bonds that we forged, all of like the strong like teamwork that we've built up, it wasn't enough. And this is the breaking point. That is gonna decide, are we gonna fall into despair? Are we gonna fall into hopelessness? Or are we gonna stand back up, wipe our wipe our mouth, wipe our brow, pat each other a little bit, right? Get the dust off and everything, help each other up, and then go at it again, right? Find a way, find an angle of vulnerability for these enemies that are kind of opposed to us. Because now we know, right? Now we know most of the players in play. We just have to get together and actually coordinate that and find a way to actually deal with it. How? I don't know. Like, right, we're threatened like never before. 4 towers taking control. 4 archbishops. All like over here, right? We have wrath, we have lust, we have greed, we have 2 gluttonies, right? So it's technically 5 archbishops. But we have a lot of strong people. 5 royal selection candidates and their knights. And their camps, right? Lieutenants, right? The shields of the sanctuary, the shield of Amelia's camp. Otto, the brilliant merchant. All of these people. Julius, his brother probably. I think his brother is in the city too. So many elements. I do hope that Subaru can actually find a way. That Subaru and his friends can find a way to get through this relatively undamaged, and that we can claim some kind of victory, because honestly, ever since the end of season 1, it's been loss after loss, right? We won against Betelgeuse. We won against the White Whale, and yes, against the Rabbit 2 in season 2, but that was more of an internal problem, right? That was something that just happened to come our way and that we had to solve here. It was not something that's like part of the bigger structure of like the archbishops that are currently over here and whatnot. But since then, right, start of season 2, we have Rem. Boom, right? Rem and Krush, basically. 1 loss. Yeah. And then start of season 3, we had more losses, right? Look at that, right? So many L's that we've taken over the course of these, right? We've sustained a lot of battle wounds. Even the people who are still alive, they carry these invisible wounds. Krush with a loss of memory, right? And now this dragon's blood, we don't know what it's gonna do to Subaru and Krush. If we can heal that, there's a lot that we have suffered and a lot that we've like lost along the way, and we don't know if we can find all of it again. I do hope we can. And we are now, I would say, this is the breaking point indeed. This is like the point where it's being decided what we can do going forward. Yeah, that's been ReZero, episode 5 of season 3. I do hope you enjoyed the episode this week, and then or last week for you who are seeing this right now. I do, at the moment of recording this, I actually have episode 4 cooked up, right? I have it uploaded as well. I just need to design the thumbnail, probably gonna release it today or tomorrow. And then probably around Friday or something like that, I'm gonna release episode 5 of ReZero, and we're gonna slowly get back to the release kind of schedule. Hopefully we're gonna catch up, and then we can kind of take it easy a little bit, right? I'm gonna probably then get the episode that came out the week. You get it like Friday, Saturday of the same week. Hopefully that's the plan long term. Or maybe I'll only catch up at episode 8 and then we're gonna start the whole thing again when they start up again. But either way, I do hope you're watching it anyway, and thanks a lot for listening and all of that. We yapped a lot this episode. There was a lot of different things, right? Emotional themes, there was animation stuff. Voice acting was amazing, by the way. Like, big shout out to all the voice actors. They found really good voice actors for Sirius, for Capella as well, right? Like that, spot on with the deliveries and everything. Even Krush has done a phenomenal job to kind of get exactly what we need in order to have these scenes have enormous impact when they actually happen. And I'll be seeing you next week. Go check out my Discord and Patreon and all of the other links, right? Like and subscribe if you like the channel and all of that. And do let me know how you think about the stopping. I know I only stopped like 2 times in this episode. I do want to do it more, but I need to develop kind of a feeling for it. Maybe we're going to do it next episode as well. But do let me know. Write it down in the comments below of episode 4 and right here. And we'll see if we make that a permanent thing or not. I'll see you.